What is up, guys? NYC Anime Nerd here with Nerd Taku. Broker is in Malta right now, so he will,
What?
yeah, on vacation. Must be nice. Well, I'm sitting here sweating my ass off in New York City. Uh, Taku, how are you?
I'm good. I got in late last night from LA, being at
Yeah.
Anime Expo.
Oh, and
I
I
got
know
in
you
at
went to
like
the
4
Dodgers
a.m.
game. I know you went to the
I
Dodgers
did.
game. Let me see that Luffy card.
It's nowhere to be found. But I was able to buy this for $40 off of someone leaving. So that was a lot of fun. I went and
Insane.
didn't get shit. Um, there was an unprecedented amount of scalpers. It was actually kind of impressive, to be honest, that there were so many scalpers there. Uh, I don't know if you've seen like on Instagram, I think like Binge Anime has been posting about it. There were people that went through the gate, got their hat and card, and then were offering, like asking to buy the cards off of the people that were walking in after them that didn't care. And they some people apparently were able to get cards, like multiple cards and hats from the people who were handing them out, because I saw one person posted online that they've got like 25, which is fucking ridiculous.
And
uh
it's just so lame. You have 25 of them.
yeah, and they're selling them. I'm part of some Facebook groups and Instagram groups where people are selling them at $400 a pop,
Yep.
like on eBay they're going for around the same. Like, it's just crazy. If you got 10 of them, that's $4,000, like if you sell them all.
Yeah.
Like, and then some people were accompanying them with the hat, and that was like an extra 50. So it's like you're taking something that you get for free, it's a promo, and you're ruining it for the people that came there for it. I showed up right before 6 and I didn't get shit, which was an hour plus before the game started.
That's
And
wild.
don't get me wrong, we were running a little bit late because we wanted to get there earlier, but the
Yeah.
traffic was so bad. It was like
That One
we
Piece
were
traffic, yo.
we were like 15-20 minutes away from the stadium, and it
Yeah.
took us an hour plus to get there.
Yeah. LA, baby.
So it was ridiculous. And like the amount of ridiculousness when we were walking there, these fucking people that worked at the stadium were trying to sell us the cards. Like, I'm like, they had on the fucking uniform for the Dodger Stadium, selling
That's
them to us, scalping to us.
that's
I'm like,
crazy. How much for how much?
they were saying like 150 or 200 for the thing, which, don't get me wrong, good price now. But
Yeah.
at the time, I'm like, why would I pay some for something that I'm about to get? And then by the
Yeah.
time we got there, too late.
Yeah.
It was
They were saying that this might be the most expensive promo card. Like prior to it coming out, they were saying that this might be the most expensive promo card in all of fandom. I didn't think it was gonna be that, but it's crazy how expensive it is.
we
Um,
so we complained to the Dodger Stadium. Like, we sent them an email because they asked for our feedback. We were like, this is a trash ass event. And
yeah,
like, we complained to them, and they were like, well, that's not okay. It's illegal for them for anybody to try and resell free merchandise on property. I'm like, well, your employees were doing it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
yeah,
it's like, you could go look at the security footage if you like. You can see them doing it. There were
yeah,
people with signs being
yeah,
like, hey, you know I will, I'll sell, buying Luffy promos $100 a pop. And then
yeah,
they were turning around and being like, selling Luffy promos 300 a pop. Like, it was just, it was insane. It was such a shitty thing. But the game was great. Seeing what was her name,
yeah.
Emily
Throw the
Rudd.
opening pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
throw the opening pitch. Cool. The drone show afterwards, we lined up like an hour before the game ended. Lined up, and then we were supposed to go on to the field to see the drone show. We
yeah,
up and we were waiting in line, and then everyone from the lower seats, because they were there, like
Just
right
hopped
at the
over.
front, they just went right in, and then we didn't even get to go on the field. So we had like a and then the drone show was like for the people that were on the left and the right, they were behind the stadium billboards. So we
Oh,
only got to see the top half of it. And
that's
so
so
I was
wild.
like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
Can,
why would you do this?
can I ask if you're okay with revealing it, how much were the tickets to the Dodgers game?
So we got them early
Okay.
and we only paid like, I want to say it was like 85 or $90 a ticket.
Okay, but still though, still.
Still a significant amount, and
Yeah.
like we were we're not like huge baseball fans, we were going because Otani's awesome.
Yes.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see him perform, but at the same time I was doing it mainly for the One Piece event, like
Of
if I'm
course.
being for real.
Mm.
So it's like to go there and then have two of the main things, well, three if you count the hat, the card, and the drone show, be kind of ruined. It just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth.
No, definitely. I think it would for me as well. Um, but yeah, it's still expensive, and I know the tickets got way more expensive after the promo card kind of like came out because I think they announced that it was going to be like One Piece night, and then maybe like a week later announced the promo card.
Yeah, they first announced the straw hat, which I was like, okay,
Yeah,
cool. And so we were really fiddling with going. Then they announced the promo card. I'm like, okay, we got to go. We bought tickets, and then we looked like just to see, and then like probably I want to say like a week or so before, they were like $200 a ticket, if not more.
yeah,
So they said that stadium fits like 5,600 or 56,000.
it got to
It
be
was
thousands.
56,000. Yeah, 56,000. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah,
And I think there was 50,000 there, but
damn.
there was supposed to be 40,000 hats. That means only 10,000 people shouldn't have gotten hats. So
Do
like
you know how many cards there were?
they didn't stay, but I know that it was less than the hats. But
Definitely.
but still, like again, if I'm the Dodger Stadium and I see the influx of people, you have Otani, who is a One Piece fan.
Mhm.
If you know all this stuff, and if you do like even just a smidge of research, you can find out that like One Piece fans go all out.
Well,
So
even if you
why
looked
would
at
you
like
not
how
do the
many,
capacity?
yeah, if you looked at how many your ticket sales from when you announced the card, even, because I'm sure if you guys raised prices, it was definitely enough to know that
Yeah.
it'd be worth it. I just got to put on my fan. What? 1 second. But yeah, it was a very strange thing. I got a lot of pictures from friends being like, there were people with signs like, I think I sent it to you, like, I don't speak English, but I'm willing to buy your card, $300.
Yeah, there was a ton, and I mean a ton of Japanese people that did not speak English that came there for this very event. And that's because they really wanted that promo because of Otani, and also because of it being Luffy, which
Yeah,
is fine. You can go there and you can get those if you really want to. But like it's the egregious amount of,
of
I think, that
scalpers.
people just coming in and getting more cards than they should have. If they would
Yeah,
have given one to every person and they would have been limited to that, like, hey, you show your ticket, I give you this
or
one,
one per
and I
group.
give you this hat.
Yeah,
Or anything. Like it just like it really seemed to me like they were just handing them out willy-nilly and they weren't paying attention. And I don't know like to what extent that was, because some people were like, oh, I bought 20 tickets so I could get 20 promos. And it's like, like
you just
those
got
people, like,
fucked.
yeah, like and those people like come in, do they fucking show like, hey, I've got 20 tickets, I deserve 20 promos and they just handed them to them? Or
Yeah.
was it like, did they have to bring 20 friends? Like, I don't know. All I know is it was an egregious mishandling of the promo material. And don't get me wrong, the straw hat, I really wanted that, and I really wanted the promo card. And the fact that I had to pay for the straw hat is annoying because it should have just been free because I
Yeah.
paid for the ticket.
Mm.
But whatever. It is what it is. People always will find a way to ruin it. And what sucks to me is like this is the second One Piece event that I've had ruined for dumb shit. I went to Las Vegas when One Piece was on the Sphere,
Oh yeah.
and I waited for I think it was 3 hours for them to show Luffy on the Sphere just because I thought it would be really cool to see. They did not play it once during that 3 hour period I waited outside in Las Vegas heat.
That's
Like,
crazy. Because
yeah,
I know the Dortmund, they did the promo card with Dortmund
yeah.
at one of the football matches, and I know it went really well there. And maybe that's just like the non-American, type of, you know, thing, but I know it went smooth there. But yeah, scalping in general has just become insane. I don't know if you saw the story yesterday, but this guy got stabbed and beat up by two people. It all started because one of the dude that got beat up, started question the dude that got stabbed and beat up started questioning this scalper that skipped the budged the line for Pokemon cards. And he's like a scalper. The scalping thing is getting out of control. It's
Yeah,
it's gonna get to the point where I think these companies are gonna release so much of it that it's just gonna
it's gonna
ruin
kill it.
all. Yeah, it's gonna ruin all collectability, monetary value. Because like, what else are they gonna do? Because either the true people are gonna get upset because they're not gonna get them, or they're gonna have to pay out the A for them, or B, everybody's got to get them. It's crazy.
I saw it even just over the weekend. I saw someone go to the Bandai store or the Bandai stand at Anime Expo, and
Shout
they
out
were a
Bandai.
seller. Shout out Bandai. They bought like I want to say it was like 4 booster boxes, and they went over to their like stall where they were already selling, and then they literally slapped stickers on it for like $200 or $300 a booster box, and was reselling it right there after buying it for like the 117 that it was. I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what's crazy. I mean, like, I'm lucky enough to, obviously, the Bandai store opened here. I know the people at Bandai. I've worked with them. But because the store's here, it's like I can get booster boxes at the price, and it's crazy, yeah, that people, can just turn around and sell them, because most people have to buy them, not retail.
yeah, they have to buy them third party. Like, I went a little crazy. I bought like from what I could get, I got 2 OP11 and 4 OP9 booster boxes while I was there. But I really wanted to get some PRBO1, but they were sold out of it. And then they also had double packs, but they sold out of those too. They sold out of like OPs 1 through
They had they had
6.
they had one there.
Yeah.
That's wild. We they just had gotten a shipment of '05 at the store, and so I picked up some '05 boxes because I hadn't seen them in a minute. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, like this LGS near me, local game shop for people that don't understand it. And then, guys, we'll jump into talking about One Piece after this.
Yeah.
But they have cases of OPO1, and I'm like, are there any blue bottoms? Any blue bottom boxes? And they're like, oh, they're cases. We haven't opened the cases yet. And I'm like, well, can you open them? And they're like, I don't think we're opening them yet. But they're like 400 a box, a booster box. I'm like, what the?
When I was just in LA, I went to this place. It was called, I want to say it was called LA Sports and TCG. I went there. They had the original, I think it was the blue bottom or white bottom,
Yeah,
whichever one is
blue
like the
bottom, blue
original
bottom.
blue bottom.
Yeah,
They were selling it 1,400 for the booster box, and they were selling it at $70 a pack if you wanted the packs.
dude, that's
I was
so
like,
crazy.
yeah,
That's so crazy. What?
yeah.
I mean,
They
I
were,
mean, I'm not surprised. There's this card shop that does. They also sell off TikTok Live, and on TikTok Live, they have a blue bottom for 4,000 a booster box.
yeah. It's insane. It's so crazy. Like even they wanted
ERB
like,
two, baby.
well, PRBO1 itself is so hard to come by. Everywhere I see like TCG Player and all these other LGSs, if they even have it, they're selling it for like 280 a booster box. I'm like, that's insane.
Really? I thought I've got a spot for PRB. That's not Bandai because they whenever they get them, they're almost out like instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to either go to the one by you, or I
Yeah.
want to go to the one in New Jersey whenever they get their restock to see if I can get some. Like I never got a chance to get any of the double packs of OPO5 or OPO7. And
Really?
I really wanted them because I really want the Dons, and I know that I could just buy the Dons like
But
off rip on TCG, but I'd
but
rather
you like
just
to,
get them.
yeah, you like to rip.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so
Uh, yes, but yeah, when you're here for anime, right? You're coming, right?
I'm trying to convince my wife. She's gonna be pretty pregnant in
Oh,
August.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
she's not
trying
gonna
to
want to.
convince her.
She's not gonna want to be standing in, and you
Well,
don't.
for Anime Expo, I got her a wheelchair because you could rent
Nice.
them from there, and like for free, you just had to give up your ID. So I was just wheeling her around, which is actually really nice because uh it kind of is like a way to mitigate the crowds. You just kind of
Yeah,
go through and people get out of the way.
and lines. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. And I was thinking, so I had this idea, but she's not there yet, so I couldn't tell her. I was like, oh, you can dress up as Bonnie's mom. Uh,
Yeah.
and then she was like, oh, whoa, does that mean you're gonna dress up as Kuma? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
about
I
that.
was thinking the whole time, I'm like, how do I get like a fishbowl that I can breathe out of? So I'll
Right.
just dress up as a random celestial
That's
dragon,
so
just
fun.
wheel her around.
That's so funny. So, all right. So let's jump into One Piece. I have a question for
Yeah.
you. What admiral do you think has the coolest ride? So we got Akichi's got the bike that he rides on the water. We got Green Bull with the flower, you know. Uh
Yeah.
we have uh Fujitora. He's kind of got like the Nimbus cloud, but it's a rock,
Yeah.
which I fucking love that call out.
And then Kainu has the desk.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
um, I'm not gonna lie, I loved the Aokiji on the bike. Like ever since that was introduced, that was my favorite because I was like, and when he was first introduced, I was like, yo, who is this guy? And like I'm always like for the longest times, even to this day, I'm always a fan of Ice Powers. Ice Powers are always the
Me
coolest
too. I was a big
characters.
Iceman guy.
Yeah, Iceman was great. Like Hitsugaya from Bleach, super dope. Like
Definitely.
all the ice users, even like Gray Filibuster from Fairy Tail, like
Yeah,
they're always the ice users are always the coolest characters.
yeah. They're just dope.
And
Ice and
so
lightning
out
characters. are S tier always.
They go hard. And so I was a huge fan of the bike because like I was like, oh, we're finally getting somebody who has like an ice power. And then we get introduced to him, and the fact that he was a Logia blew my mind at the time.
Mm,
Because I was like, well, how is he gonna reform? And then they showed it, and I was like, oh shit, like this is cool as hell. Like
yeah,
when Robin broke him and he just grew back out of the ice, I was like, yo, this is so cool.
yeah,
So it's got to be Aokiji and the bike. It's one of the only characters we've ever seen. Now there are a few only characters we've ever seen who's able to affect the water.
yeah. True, true. Yeah, I love the bike, but I love Fujitora's. Like, I love Fujitora uh, just in general. There's
Yeah,
I've
Fuji is cool.
But just like Ice Stars, I've always loved like a blind samurai, just gangster. They're always gangster, you know. Their senses are like on point. I've always loved that. Yeah, it was just a you know an
Yeah,
interesting thought.
I like. I'll tell you what, Aokiji and Fuji are my top two favorite admirals, hands down. Like
Yeah,
Green Bull would be tough if he wasn't like. I hate his attitude. I hate
but
his whole
but
personality.
I think that's the point, and that's why I love him. He makes me hate him. I'm like, this dude needs to get packed up. Like I need to pack him up, you know. And
He's someone though that I am like, oh, he's never gonna be able to awaken his fruit. Like that, because like and don't get me wrong, we don't have to stay on this too
no,
long,
we
but
can.
the thing about awakening, from what we know now, again, Kaido could be wrong, but from what he said, it's when your mind and body catch up with your devil fruit. All
Yeah,
right. If your whole shtick is wood and life bringing and stuff like that, like even at
facts.
like without actually like trying to, he resulted in making Wano a better place just by walking fucking through. Because
Yeah, the flowers were growing. Yeah, like
all of that stuff that he did resulted in like setting back pollution, because then
yeah,
there was more foliage in which they would filter out the smog from the
yeah,
weapons factories. Like he inadvertently brought life to a lifeless land basically, but he himself is a racist bigot who hates people and thinks that everyone should be under the celestial dragons and everything else, and he craves killing people and being just a bad dude. And so like to me, that's like his devil fruit and him are fighting each other in that sense.
yeah.
So like
That's
that to me, if he ever awakens or shows signs of awakening, I'm gonna call bullshit, because how?
yeah,
Like
yeah. You're right. If he would have to like he'd have to like go train under like Sengoku and like learn the Zen. You know.
yeah.
Um, interesting. So
That's why I think like Yamato was really close to awakening. I don't think she was there. I think she was as close as Luffy was with Gear 4,
yeah,
because they both kind of had like a slight Hagoromo scarf, but not quite there. And that's because
true.
um Yamato wanted to free the land of Wano and protect the land of Wano by taking away Kaido and doing all this stuff. And so if she had the guardian deity of Wano's fruit,
Mm.
so they were close, like to
Yeah,
the point where like I would not doubt that she awakens it by the end of her pilgrimage or whatever, after seeing all of Wano. That could be her completing moment of where she's able to awaken her fruit. So like
yeah,
that's where we see that conducive, like same with Enel. Like lightning brings a lot of destruction and stuff like that, which is why when he did his like 200 million volts Amaru or whatever, he had the Hagoromo scarf, but he wasn't quite there yet. Lightning brings a lot of destruction and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, it's not like he wasn't
Speaking
close.
speaking of Yamato, are you over the cover stories? I know a lot of people are getting sick of this, but I'm not.
So I'm a little sick of it, but I also think that it's very Oda-esque because
Definitely, definitely.
I think we got spoiled because when we had the whole Cake Island story, we got actual like canon events that were happening. Don't get me wrong, all the cover stories are canon events.
Yeah,
But
I was
like
about to say,
we are getting actual events that are taking place probably right when the cover story was happening. Like we saw Van Auger and Kuzan and taking pudding and stuff like that. Like all that stuff was happening in real time. And it progressed the plot somewhere else while we were progressing in the main story. So I think we got really wrapped up in that moment because we were like, this is peak. And now we're getting back to where things are not progressing as fast, especially in the cover story. And I think it's Ace's like story in La Lucia. We had no idea what was happening there. He was helping some milkmaid. We didn't think that it was leading to anything. We never figured, oh my God, La Lucia one day is going to be up and destroyed. And we're going to see this milkmaid again when the Revolutionary Army comes and all this other stuff. Like we had no idea. We couldn't even conceptualize that this was actually going to mean anything, you know? And so all of a sudden it did mean something. But I also think if this is happening concurrently in the story, it's also showing us it could be like showing us the passage of time is slow outside because every week we're like, my God, she's taken 2 steps. Like, why is this happening? But in the story, everything apparently, from what we've seen, is moving faster in one or it's moving slower on the outside or vice versa. And like things aren't progressing as fast, and I think that it is all leading somewhere, and I think that it will get good but it's right now it's just tough.
yeah, I so I really enjoyed it once I saw the Nika symbol on the. I think I sent you the picture. I think it was
Yeah,
maybe
on
like
page one and
11.
ulti.
Yeah, which I think is dope because I think it's showing that, like something's about to happen there, and we can't, like whether it be like Blackbeard, or whatever. And I also just happen to, uh, yeah, love her, him, her.
Yeah,
Um,
I love Yamato again. I put my full money on Yamato joining the Straw Hats, and I feel like everyone is having that similar conversation that they have with Yamato with Loki.
yeah.
They're saying this is going to fuck up the power dynamic. And I don't believe so. I really don't. Cuz like yes, is
Well, that's
Loki
why he won't
possibly
join the Straw Hats. Because, like I said to you, if he joins right now, he becomes the second strong. I asked you, is he the second or third strongest? You said third, but realistically, he's the second strongest.
possibly. Yeah, I mean he has a better understanding of Conqueror's hockey than Zoro obviously.
Mhm.
Um but the thing is I think that end of Elbaf he's fourth strongest. I think that Zoro is going to now that he knows he is Conqueror's hockey, which like I don't know how many times he's got to be told it, but now he officially knows, and I think he's going to be able to channel it in a different way, and I think that Sanji's getting it, and I think that Black Lightning coming off of Blue Flames is tough. It's
Yeah,
a tough
but
one.
you're saying that if you're saying that he would be the fourth strongest by the end, that means that Sanji and Zoro are both close enough to him that it's only separating conquerors. So if you're saying if you took away conquerors from Loki right now, he's fourth strongest. That I think it might
I
be a
think so.
stretch right now.
I mean, Conquerors hockey does do a lot. I downplay Conquerors hockey because I don't think it's the end all be all.
I don't think
I
it's the end
think
all be all, but
I struggle to see a way in where Loki, which, who knows? Because now we have his eyes, and if his eyes are special, there's a
yeah.
possibility that his observation is on a whole another level. In which case, my next point may be a little, mute, uh, but it's like you have. I don't know if Loki could keep up with Sanji's speed. You know, I've seen, you know, with Blue Flames, he was able to, basically two-shot Queen once he got in the rhythm, and then Zoro was able to, cut a Lunarian, some of the most durable people of all time,
And Zoro was injured. You got to remember what
and he was
Zoro
injured.
always goes into fights heavily injured. We've
Yeah.
never seen like healthy Zoro fight his main opponent. He's
Yeah.
always injured Zoro, which is so strange to me.
Yeah. And so it's like when we talk about this, like, especially because I think that Zoro and Sanji are going to be heavily upgraded by the end of Elbaf. And maybe it's not just Conquerors that is, separating them, but there could be multiple levels that they go up, now that Zoro knows, like, yo, I need to channel my Conquerors hockey the correct way. And he like actually starts utilizing it in a more like conservative way instead of just like full on green flame swords,
Yeah,
going crazy. If anything, maybe just making like it would be really cool to see just like the sharp side of the edge of the blades turn green. Like he's actually channeling it just in one specific
yeah,
area. Like that type of shit would be so cool. And especially, if uh like I think that Sanji's armament has gone up probably, quite a few steps, especially with his German genes now.
yeah.
His armament is on a whole new level. That's why he's able to do Ifrit. If he was
Mhm.
able to Conqueror's coat his leg and then have like black flames on top of that, that would go crazy hard. And in which case, again, like I said, I think Loki's fourth. We haven't really seen much from him, and he was injured when he did his like, one swing, but I think that he's pretty strong too, you know. Uh I don't know. I truly think that he will it when he does join, he will probably be fourth strongest.
When he does join, so you're saying he's joining.
I think so.
Okay.
One, I really want him to.
Me
Uh
too, but I don't know if he will.
I
Um,
want him to join, and I want Yamato to join still. I
I
I
want
still want Yamato to join because then she'll be fifth strongest.
that's wild. Uh, when I see Loki now, all I hear in my head is "Baby Shark." Do 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 do. You know that song?
Yeah,
It gets stuck in my head, and all I go, "Loki killed a baby shark." Do do. Do. It's all I fucking hear now, and I'm just like,
yeah.
God
Which
damn.
let's talk about that. One, listen, I'm gonna crash out because I hate all these people being like, "Yo, Harold is good. He was always good." Blah blah blah. Again, I'm gonna say it till I'm blue in the face. There was a point where he said, "Sweet, I had a kid with this chick who's really down for me." And like some old ass douchebags were like, "You can't marry her."
Which
And
who we don't even know anything about yet, though. Like we didn't even
yeah,
know they existed.
yeah, even the two elders of the village, yeah, Beard Hill, Yarul and Yorul, were like, "Yo, I'm so happy for them." And then just four random D bags were like, "Yo, you can't marry her, dude."
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, I'm killing all four of them.
Where do
I'm
you think
crashing out.
this? where do you think the so-called council is now, or who's part of the
Probably
council?
up above the sun realm, I would
That's
say.
I mean, that's what I figured also. But like, if they're the council and they're able to do that, they have to have some type of strength or power, and they're just letting this happen.
Exactly.
You
Like
know,
I don't understand. Like, I'm sorry, but even, he had a kid, he sired an heir with a giant shirt. Maybe she's not originally from Elbath, but like
yeah,
who gives an F? He comes back and decides that he wants to change everything about Elbath and that they want to now be more, friendly with neighbors and all this other stuff. Where were these four D bags then? Were they like, yo, you can't do that? Like, but they're perfectly fine with all that. But no, you need to have a pure-blooded heir for Elbath, but we can change everything about Elbath. To me, it just makes no sense. Me personally, someone tells me I can't marry the person that I want to marry, I'm crashing out. I
oh
will.
yeah,
I
for sure.
will. I will murder the council, and then I will. There will be no council. I am a monarch now, and I make all the decisions.
Yeah, I agree
I
with you. I'm
Yeah.
just so curious to who these are, who they are, uh, what role they'll play. Is the
Yeah.
council, are they still there? Why aren't they doing anything? And yeah, uh, if they're
Yeah.
not, if they're not there, were they, taken out by, the knights or something? And when that happened, I think a lot of people were focused on the herald part, but I was more focused on the council. Like that, it gave me more questions than answers.
Me
And
too.
I'm super stoked to find out about that because they seem like that they are heavily stuck in tradition, let's say. And so they might know something more about the mural. They might know something about Nika. We might find out something. And also, speaking of Nika, speaking of the gods, so I was looking up, the tattoo on Shanks we saw that's on the armband of Summers.
Yeah.
So I was looking up uh, the planetary symbols, and that tattoo, that mark is actually the planetary symbol for Earth, which made me think that it's them saying that they're aligned with the Earth god, who is Emu. Because if you look up the planetary symbols, I'll send you a picture after. Yeah, it's that's the symbol, and so because the abyss, I think it's different. I don't think it's an abyss mark anymore. I think that was kind of the craziness of when the chapter dropped, me wanting it to be, everybody wanting it to be, because the Bismarck was more of like this thing. It wasn't. And why would a Bismarck be like on a bandana?
Exactly. And that's why like everyone jumped to the conclusion like, yo, this guy got an abyss mark. And I'm like, that doesn't look like Sommer's abyss mark. His
No.
abyss mark is gigantic. Like
Yeah,
he got like a full sleeve tattoo. Like
exactly.
and this guy just has one mark. It seems like as if he got the marine symbol tattooed
No,
on him.
well,
Like it
and
wasn't.
that's what I'm saying. Like this could just be, it looks like olden days, like you're part of a certain army, so you have like a colored armband, to signify you're
Yeah.
with so and so. So like why couldn't it be like, hey, I'm part of the earth god's army, you know?
Yeah.
And so it made me think that, they're aligned with Emu, who would be, well, they are aligned with Emu. So it would be that they follow the Earth God because it's the planetary symbol for Earth.
Yeah,
It
I agree.
yeah. Do you
One thing
think
that I no, go ahead.
do you think we've met all four gods already?
Hmm. I want to say I think that we've met at least three.
Okay. So I think I think it's the extremes. I think we've met all of them, or we haven't met outside of like Emu, if Emu's even one. Like, let's say Emu is one just for my sake, and Nika and Luffy. We haven't met the other two. So I think we've either met them or we haven't met the other ones. Like,
So I do think that there's the possibility of a fifth god, and I think that that goes along with like what we've seen as far as like names being erased from history. When we got the history in Skypiea, we got four gods. We got the
yeah,
rain, we got the forest, the sun, and the earth.
yeah,
But there's always the possibility for what I think is possibly a fifth god, and I think that that's where Blackbeard might be. He might be the moon god versus Emu being the earth god, or vice versa. Swap. Emu might be the moon god and Blackbeard might be the earth god. Um, I will always
really,
maintain that Chopper is the forest god
yeah.
and
I
Luffy's the
think
sun god, and I think that there's a good possibility that Dragon is the rain god. I think that, and don't get me wrong, those are not like by any means, besides for the Chopper one, like my original takes. I've seen a lot of evidence for all of that. Um,
the Chopper
that
one though. I think like a lot of people are falling in line with that.
I think they are now. I think when
Yeah,
I made that theory, they were not rocking with
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But I think people are starting to get on board with that. But
yeah,
I do think that I don't know anybody powerful enough that they could introduce into the story right now that could be at god tier level, in my opinion, that I think that the fandom would accept too. Like, I think that we have a lot, especially because of the fact that like the major players are what we got in that panel, right? We got the four emperors, we got Fagarland, we got Shamrock, we got all these people. So I think that within those people and their respective crews and associates are those gods.
yeah. So the only reason why I hope they wouldn't be is it's so funny. So about a year ago, I was at a manga shop, right? And I walked out, and it's New York City. Everybody knows this place isn't real, right? And I was wearing my law hoodie, and there was a literal crackhead. I mean, literally smoking rock, right? And he's like, "Yo, is that a law hoodie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Dude, I love One Piece, yo." And this was like a year ago, right? And so like, I'm like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Yo, you got to check this out. This is what I think." And this is like right after he hit a rock. And so like obviously I took my phone and I hit record. And like a year ago he went into this thing all about the gods, and he about how he thinks that there's like gods like above Emu, that the other gods are like above Emu and we just don't know them yet, and they're like ruling whatever. But the only reason that I'd hope it's that is so that I could put this video up and be like, "Yo, this crackhead saw the future."
Yeah, he
It's
hit that. He was
yeah,
smoking on that future site.
yeah,
Um,
seriously, that
no,
one
that
rock.
would be crazy.
Yeah,
And like, here's the thing though, like I feel like Emu's character is so written to be like, this is the guy at the top,
yeah,
you know.
of course.
But
I
it would be
I don't.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't see it going that way. But if it did, this video of this guy would blow my mind. It's the only reason I hope it'd be. It just would be like if they did that, if there were other gods like that people were aligned to, had allegiance with, like to bring them in now, do you know how long this ending of One Piece would have to be to build out their story? You know,
Well, what's interesting about that theory is like it kind of falls in line with a theory that everyone, like not everyone, but a lot of people had when the Saints were first the Gorosei were officially introduced as like Venus,
yeah,
and Mars and all that other stuff. There was a lot of people that thought, "Oh, what if the Gorosei were actually part of Joy Boy's original crew?"
true. Well, that's what I used to think because he's the sun god. What surrounds the sun?
The solar system, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that makes sense, and especially with Emu being the earth god, because back in the day everyone thought the solar
that
system revolved around earth.
yeah,
And so, like, especially with like Pluton being Pluto, Poseidon and Uranus, like all of those are planets, or they're gods that are based off of planets. And
exactly.
so it would be super interesting to have that actually be it. And it would be interesting now thinking about it if those were the people that turned against Joy Boy because of what Emu could offer them.
Hmm.
And he basically, without actually doing it, he made contracts with them almost like a Domi Reversi, and basically gave them these demon forms or these demons inside them, which
False
they turn
gods
into.
and
Yeah,
being false gods. You know.
yeah. I mean, that theory still to me could be
Yeah,
legitimate.
I agree 100%. So I've since you brought them both up, I have two things about that. One, what about what if you know how Chopper jumped down to get them and Luffy followed them? So what if they come up, what if they go to the demon realm, but what if they come up through Lelucia? Like what if that hole, is actually just like now an opening to like the
The
demon
abyss.
yeah. So so I was thinking that because like what if we find out that they need to travel through the underworld and it makes sense. Zoro being the king of hell, Cerberus, guarding what guards hell. So I could see that. And also I'm curious to you, do you think that one of the Gorosei is a traitor? Because I do, and I'm curious if you do and which one you think it is.
So I don't think there's a traitor amongst the Gorosei. I
Ooh.
think that they're uh I think that they are aligned with what they want to do. I don't think that there's a traitor amongst them. I think they're not as close as we thought they were. I think that I think originally I thought that they moved more like a solidified unit, but I feel like
Mhm.
they all have their own uh expertise. Like obviously, like Saturn was like the science warrior god or whatever, and so on and so forth. But I think they all have different, I don't know what the word is, like they all have different ambitions, I
Yeah.
guess, in my opinion. um and that's why I think that when Saturn died they weren't like real broken up about it. I think that they thought they were not happy that Fagarlin was the one who replaced him, but
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
think I don't think that they gave like really cared that he was that Saturn was killed. I think they were just like, hey, whatever. Um and as for the coming through the portal of the underworld, I don't know. I think that it could be an avenue. And I would kind of like that if they're slowly punching holes in the world to release more lesser demons,
Mhm.
or like lesser type things like that maybe could just take over Marines at like a lower level and make them stronger for the final war. Um but I think that maybe originally they had to punch, bigger holes in the underworld to escape, like Emu and the Gorsei. Um, and what I think would be very interesting is if they created the holes in a row around the world, and what Nika did was he took landmass and stretched it out and created the red line to cap over the holes that they came out of. And then
Dope. Dope.
what if they
Dope.
went and were like, oh no, like we can't get back to the underworld and we can't release more of us or stuff like that, and there's more trapped. And then they just have had to come up with ideas on how to open them. And the first time that they were able to do that was it was a small test that they did, um, and that was Ennie's lobby.
Yeah.
Um, and then the latest one is the Lucia. Now that they have the Mother Flame, they could be like, oh, this is the way we do things now. Like we're able to actually use the Mother Flame to puncture holes into the abyss, releasing, more demons that will take over the world. Um, so it would be very interesting if that's what happened. It could be, I mean, hell, it could even be the fact, like, I know that they called it the blood soaked serpent,
Yeah.
and we talk about, I think it was the second world where like the serpent came, and like they talk about it basically not in not so many words, but almost like forming the red line. It
Mhm.
would be interesting if like the rain god, or like the previous rain god or whatever, was actually the one who sealed up those holes by forming the red line with its body, and then like solidifying and basically giving up its life to seal those holes.
Yeah.
And I think it also says in that same one that like the world was on fire, and it would be like the rage from the Gorsei, from them closing off the portals, they just took it out on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
you know
And
so
and and like, yeah,
some
maybe
really good
it's
stuff there.
called like the blood soaked serpent because like of how many people died, trying to close it, trying to seal this off from the
Yeah,
underworld. Yeah, there is a lot of good stuff there, and I think.
it would also really be interesting if
Oh, I see the
by
smile on your face.
so here's what I'm thinking. So what did they do? They built Marie Joie on top of the blood soaked serpent. And if there are portals underneath, we saw Emu go down pretty deep to see that straw hat. If that's the closest they can get to the portal, and that's how they can get the most power. Like they have to be close enough to the portal to actually utilize their power, and like the throne room, and like the where the straw hat is and where
Yeah.
Emu stays mostly is like a direct line from their original portal, and so they have to stay there, and they could only venture out by using like the Gunkos and like the other holy knights as vessels, because they can't leave that space.
So would you think that like almost like maybe the hat is like a hockey seal? Like it's like could it be like a seal that's, like sealed off, or maybe it's what causes like like to
So
keep them entrapped, like the line between the
I just had
portal
a
and
thought. So
yeah.
imagine the Gorsei, right? So this is before emus officially become emu,
Yeah.
basically. And the Gorsei basically create these portals in which they bring demons, that lesser demons, not like emu demons.
Mhm.
Um, and that's how they get their powers. And so then they try and open up the last portal, which is emus, and the only I want to say a portion of Emu makes it before they seal them. So Emu has to be close enough to his other half that's still stuck in the demon world to
Huh.
actually channel its power.
Huh.
So that's why it can't move from that position, because it needs to have that link to it. So that would be really interesting, because one, that to me makes Emu a more incredible big bad,
Yeah.
because once they unseal it by destroying the red line, which I think is ultimately everyone is going to be a part of, that means that Emu is going to be that much more
Is
imposing,
Yeah,
because
they
it's going to
don't
be
realize
twice as
that
strong.
like, oh, breaking it's actually going to be like detrimental, but something that needs to be, done.
Yeah.
It's And that's interesting because that could be like, so what if like the real emu, what what we see emu doing to Gunko, what if the real emu is doing that to, like, let's say Lily, you know, like put half of his real power onto Lily, and then that part is what's giving out, doing it to uh Gunko and them. So like basically it's just the same power but more of it, and he needed like a body to trap it in.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's definitely a possibility.
So much.
So, yeah. There is two more things that I want to talk about before we wrap, and we don't have to
Let's do
like
them
wait on them too long.
yeah, let's hit
Um,
them. So
so the one thing that I really want to hit on, and it's just a very small panel, we see that in the journey that Harold is on, he stops in the land of Wano. We see the water Wano, the pillars of rock Wano. So like, what could he have gotten there? What did he do while he was there? And like, how did that affect the possibilities of what we know? Because like, let's see, when does this take place? I think it's like 100. It's not 100, it's like 90 some years. Let me see here. Okay,
is
81
it's
years
like
ago.
oh yeah, I have something. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 81 years ago, which would be not uh Odin's rule. It might have been his father's rule, or he would be a very young, like, not quite shogun yet.
But yeah, like a
Um,
Momo.
but yeah, he would have been like a Momo, and his father probably would have been shogun. Well, actually, no, it probably would have been during the Kurozumi uprising, where they were killing off the daimyo.
Yeah.
And so that's super interesting that he was there around that time. Did he
Mm,
make friends with the Kurozumi? Did he make them friends with the Kozuki? Did he help the Kozuki because they eventually destroyed the Kurozumi except for Orochi and Kanjiro? Like, did he help them with that? Like, who knows? I mean,
so
did they have a trade deal? Because Wano isn't too far from Elbaf. Is that where they got their sea stone from? Like, and there's so many things that are just like that came from my mind when I saw Wano. I was like, oh shit! Like,
yeah.
what does this have to do with things? You know,
So
because
so
he's such a big giant and he doesn't have a devil fruit. Did he go down and see the old Wano?
yeah. So in my head, I love to believe that like Wano's big thing that it could offer like people was being sake that actually gave you like some type of power up, and that's why Kaido is always drinking and always drinking from a special gourd, because I think that big sake is actually more than just like a song, like they say art imitates life. And so like where did they come up with this? And so like in my head I always like to think that like their secret trade was, a special sake. And like everybody knows that like Norse mythology, like Vikings, like they're big drinkers, like they love celebrations and like drinking, and like what if like he knew that like he's like, oh, this is where we get our sake from, like I want to stop there, and that's like why he stopped there, because like he's like wanted to get some on his way back to bring home, and but then like whatever happened on his journey into Wano, because like what led him there, you know besides distance, like why go there, and maybe it's like the sake they drink came from there, so he was like, I want to stop there.
You know what's crazy? This is gonna blow your mind right here.
But
Um, for 8 decades, Sukiyaki's father was heirless, and the daimyos were restless about who would succeed him. The head of the Korizumi family took advantage of this, poisoned the other daimyos in order to become the only candidate left. Luckily, Kozuki line finally bore their heir. Sukiyaki would eventually go on to succeed his father and rule over Wano country as its 59 or as its shogun for 59 years. So what's so crazy is if that was 81 years ago, guess how old Sukiyaki is? He is 81. So that means that he was there around the time of his birth. And I would like to
oh,
believe something
what
that
the
would have been
hell,
crazy.
what if he's baby daddy drama?
Maybe. And that would explain why Odin's body was so strong. But
Yeah.
what could be even crazier is if they traded like sea stone for like the shark meat and all of
I
the
was just about to
food
say
that
the food. Yeah.
that 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 Elbaf giants were known for, and it basically gave him the ability to sire an heir. But with that giant food, it possibly gave his body the properties of a giant, or like the nutrition of a giant, and that's why Kozuki Oden from day one was a
was
monster.
was a beast. Yeah, he's just like his metabolism as like a baby was getting fed, these meats that were meant for giants, or what the giants eat, these strong, durable people. So like it kind of messed his DNA up and like fortified him. That's so wild. That's
Yeah,
that's the I dude, I'm running with that one. I would put
yeah.
stock
I
into
gotta.
that.
I'm gonna pen this down. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
I'm
to.
gonna clip this part for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to elaborate on
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
But yeah, no, that would be so crazy if that was the reason why they were able to sire an heir and why Odin was such a monster off rip. Like, and that means that,
it makes
considering
sense.
Momonosuke's height and stature and everything at the age of like 20, now that he's aged up, he's also a monster in his own
Yeah,
right because he has some of that in him from his father.
yeah, that's
So,
wild. And because like, but it also and it shows the like the difference, like when he didn't age up, like how like human he was, how weak he was,
yeah,
and like it's just
almost like
showing
his
that like
genetics didn't quite kick in till he hit puberty,
exactly, and then he had some of that, you know,
which also is the same thing as giants because
true.
they are very, look at the Lokis and stuff like that. Loki is, this small pudgy, guy when you see rocks beat the hell out of him at the ripe
Yeah.
age of, I think he was like 13 or 12. And then, within like how old is he in this flashback where we see him uh where is it where he goes to see Harold, because I don't think that he's much
Oh yeah.
uh
He's
let me see here. Loading.
Well, it's what 14 years after Roger died or something.
10 years after.
10
Okay, so
years.
it says 14 years ago.
Oh,
So
that's okay. So that's what I meant by 14.
so 14 years ago. Dang, I wish it would have just said say his age. So let me see here. Um, but yeah, so I mean it seems like they kind of so he's 63, so that means he would have been 49. Um, which in let's see here.
So no, that's like prime. That's like 30 years. If they live like 150, you know.
Yeah, but so his actual age in this flashback, if you do like the comparison to like what his age would be,
Oh,
you
okay, yeah,
divide it by 3, he would have been like 16. And like
yeah,
he looks like a menace at
yeah.
16. So, you know, I don't know.
D-
I love it. I do.
I
I do think
I
that
think
it's
that's
super
great.
cool.
I think that would like really tie that part into a bow so nicely.
Yeah. Um. So now
We
let's
definitely got to talk about that more, though.
Yeah, honestly, that might be a TOPT call in. See what they think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but my last thing is Loki's eyes and everything. Let's talk about the crazy eyes that he got.
I just want to say one thing. In
Yeah, go ahead.
general, eyes have been such a big thing in anime as a whole. It's been an overarching thing in anime as a whole. So I don't think it's done for no reason.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's definitely not. I mean, there's a reason why Dofi doesn't show his eyes.
Mhm.
There's
Especially
a
when in One Piece, a lot of people think the eyes are very plain compared to the rest of the anime verse.
yeah. And then on top of that, we know Conquerors almost exudes from eyes. Like
Mhm.
you always see like a quick flash of their eyes before that, so they use their
What
Conquerors.
if he's constantly exuding conquerors and so he has to bandage it because what if it's draining his life force?
Hmm,
Like
that would be interesting.
what if he's doing it because it's too much. Like he's in a constant state of conquerors. It's he's super strong but he's constantly draining life. And so he has to cover that.
Maybe. I like that actually. I do. It would be very interesting to see like how it could be like low level when he's like first born, but then it like,
Exactly.
progressively gets like more and more the more he grows. That would be interesting. I would like that. But like we even see like the seraphim. The seraphim have special eyes,
Uh,
and everything else. Like eyes are a big deal in One Piece, as they
yeah.
are in a lot of other anime as well. Um, I
A
also
lot of
think
other
that
mid-tier anime.
yeah, I would also love to see, like how they're colored.
Yeah, because we've seen all the
Um,
fan coloring, obviously.
yeah, some people make them look like Sauron's eyes with like
Yeah,
the fiery thing, which I
yeah.
think is cool. Um,
Or what if he's like, what if like yes, he's always in a state of conquerors, but like, what if they were constantly in future sight, and like he just like couldn't stop and like didn't want to see like everything that's gonna happen because it's like causing him pain, and so like the only way I know people joke about it, but it's like how long could you go without blinking, if you had conquered, but like
or
what
or like, Fuji, who cut his
y-
own eyes to stop from seeing the atrocities of the world.
exactly, and so
Yeah.
It's
No,
so interesting.
I like the eyes. I think that it would be cool. And I don't know. I'm ready to see what this, what this has. Also, um the fact that his mom just yeeted him right off the sun realm is kind of crazy. Um I sent like there I saw so many memes of people being like, yo, the way that she dunked that kid so fast, like LeBron would be proud. Like
Yeah,
there's so many people who are just like, yo, we need to really start putting what's her name, Estrid, in the
yeah,
conversation of GOAT MVPs for
that's so
dunking and stuff
funny.
like that. Like there's so many of them that were just like, what are we doing? Like why is this even a thing?
Who
I sent
wins the
my friend
2025 All Star Dunk Contest? LeBron or
yeah,
Estrid?
I there's one where it's like her going like this and like Loki just like flying and
That's
like
so funny.
Steph Curry's right next to her and she's like, "Did I do it right, Steph?" And
That's
then
so
he's like,
funny.
"Yeah." He's like, nice form, I guess." like,
That's so funny.
like
You gotta send me
yeah.
those.
Yeah, I will. It's dude, it's so good. I'm just like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was just too funny. They were just the memes were going out of control. People were saying some wild stuff. Um, but the fact that Loki is this indomitable force to where he murdered a bear as an infant, because like you
And a
can tell that
baby
he's
shark.
just like, yeah, you can tell that he's just the slightest bit older from like one panel to the other. Like you have the one where he's born, and then she's like, tell him it was stillborn. But then there seems to be like a little bit of time that passes. And then she just yeets him. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
What if one of the people from the council is like Estrid's dad
I wouldn't doubt that.
or
Um,
grandfather or something, and that's why they were like, you have to marry her?
yeah,
Just
I
throw that
mean
out there. We
they
don't need to jump into that because I know we're running out of time. But
yeah, I mean it's very possible. Like this council seems very crooked because like at one point they're like you can't marry her and then at the other they're like you can marry this person, which like his whole thing is like going away from like ancient giant ways and barbarism basically, and then they're like here marry this other person who has ancient giant blood, and they expected to not have like an ancient giant baby. Like it's just it's wild. So yeah, I do really like Estrid's design. It's fire, and I also like Harding's mom's design. I forget what her name is, um, but she's really great as well. I like all of their designs. Even King Harold's design is super cool. Um, I'm
yeah,
very interested to see
I like
him
Shanks
rip his
Jolly
horns
Roger.
out. Yeah,
I like Shanks Jolly Roger. Yeah, I think it has something to do with Harold.
you're like coming
They,
in like a little staticky.
I know. I was getting that on my
Mhm.
side. The heat in here, it's messing with my thing.
Your mic.
Yeah. Maybe we should just end it here then,
Yeah,
or
yeah, we
listen
can end it here.
if you want to finish what you wanted to, and then
Yeah, and then we can wrap. Overall, I mean, I really want to see the way King Harold reacts to all of this, like because so far he's been away from uh the all of Elbaf during all this, during Loki's birth and everything else, and he's butting heads with the world government. Like, he doesn't know everything that has taken place on Elbaf. So he's going to come back to Loki being, a little bit bigger, not a baby anymore, and kind of see what the hell is going on here. Which is probably going to lead to a plethora of different things. And who knows? I think that again, I'm going to double down on the fact that when he goes to join the world government, they're going to ask for like a sign of loyalty, and his sign of loyalty will probably be ripping his horns out, to show him that he's
Super
truly
valid.
dedicated. Yeah, it's
Super
truly
valid.
dedicated to the world government. And so I think there's going to be a lot of that. And then we're probably going to get some information on, the what I would think is the possible marriage to Lola and him joining the Holy Knights, and all of that disastrous stuff that will be taking place next chapter. And then I'd say the final chapter, the chapter after that, we're probably going to get Shanks and Gabon finally showing up to the castle once like the timeline catches up. It's going to be Shanks and Gabon showing up to the castle and seeing the devastation that happens after the fact. And then we're finally going to get more of Loki's side of things on what happened prior to them showing up to the castle.
Well,
So,
unfortunately, we both know that the next chapter is going to be probably rocks heavy.
yeah,
Thank you
which,
to all the
thanks.
spoilers.
Thank you, spoilers. But that so
Guys,
far,
if you don't
I'm
even post
gonna,
about One Piece regularly, don't post just the spoiler.
yeah. Um, so it's definitely going to be an interesting
Yeah,
chapter. I don't believe most of the spoilers,
neither do I.
but
Not the big one that I saw, at least.
not the big one. But so far I've maintained relative spoiler free, just the slightest bit. So we're gonna have to just wait and see. We're only what is probably a day away from the officials dropping, or not the officials, the scan, fan scans. Um, but I'll probably review them. I'll do like a live react to the fan scans on Saturday or something. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. But I'm gonna be busy seeing Superman this weekend.
Ooh, I heard not great things about it, but
So while I was in LA, me and my wife, we signed up to go see Jimmy Kimmel Live. And so we got a
nice.
chance to go there, and they had Nathan Fillion on,
Mm,
who plays Guy Gardner at the Green Lantern
yep.
in the Superman movie. And then we walked outside, and right across the street, they were having the
He's
premiere
the
at
one
like
that
the big
is in the Rookie,
Chinese.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Me and my wife watch that show all the
Yeah.
time.
So right
I
across the
love
street, they were
him.
having the premiere. And so we got to see James Gunn and
No way.
Nicholas Holt, and we got to see a few of the other stars come through. Like, they were right on the red carpet. Like, we could see them, we waved
Yeah,
to them.
I had a
It
few
was super
friends
cool.
that were at the red carpet that are like big content creators that were at an Anime Expo. Also, as creators, got invited to the carpet.
Yeah. So we tried to get score tickets to the premiere. We because like you just like basically submit why you should go and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So we submitted, but I'm sure there was just so many people that did that too.
yeah.
Um, but no, it was super cool seeing a red carpet. Like, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be doing this weekend outside of One Piece and Marvel Rivals, because the new season drops.
Dude, I'm so over it. I just can't anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I'm
Phoenix is
done.
gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that's dope. I didn't even know that. And it's
Oh
now
yeah,
dubbed to bring me
Phoenix.
back.
Listen,
Phoenix.
Phoenix is gonna be great, and then at the after in August we're getting Blade. So
Oh, funny you bring up Blade. So, did you see Sinners? Because I just saw it.
okay, so I
It's the
haven't seen
prequel to
Sinners
Blade.
yet.
It's the prequel to Blade, in my opinion. The ending was like, I'm like, yo, he's Blade. He's Blade. He becomes the
It, it'll
Daywalker.
be it'll be interesting because I heard that a lot of the set costumes also were
Are,
originally supposed to be part of Blade, but
yep,
since it keeps getting delayed, they just haven't done anything with them, so they
yeah,
let them use them.
yeah, yeah. And I
So
was like, I saw it, thought that when I saw the ending, and then the next day, yeah, that thing came out being like they let them use it. But I was
yeah,
like, this dude's definitely the Daywalker. uh,
but all
so,
right, well
so
that's all I got. What do you got?
nothing. Any hot take? One Piece hot take you wanna shout out at?
Listen, all I'm gonna say is chopper stocks are going up. All right, they will.
Hard body, definitely.
And there's no doubt in my mind. And Loki will join the Straw Hats. I'm putting my money on that.
Okay, here's mine. The all blue is the ancient kingdom. The all blue, where all the types of quote unquote fish meet in one place, is just all the different races meeting. So the ancient, it's just something that the world government changed over time, something that got lost in translation over time. But Sanji, speaking of the all blue, is actually going to be the ancient kingdom. Or where the all blue is going to be where the ancient kingdom takes place.
Very interesting. And also that means that Big Mom and Sanji's dream are actually the same thing.
That is true. And on that
So,
note, I am NYC Anime Nerd at everything. Follow me, guys. Like this, comment, let us know how you feel about it. Taku, anything?
hey, listen, just get ready for this next chapter. It's gonna be a doozy. And also fuck scalpers. And
Big
and
fuck scalpers.
make sure to like the stream, make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff. And then I am also Nerd Taku on everything. You can find me. So
Definitely, guys. Don't forget to follow him and follow me and subscribe and go to his channel. He does good stuff. And that is it for today. We'll see you next week. We'll be back at regular time. Broker will be back, and we'll talk to you guys then.
yep.
Peace.
John